Has it changed at all? The campaigning, the
Right.
political nature? Obviously, Washington has probably changed a little bit, but the campaign itself, has it changed?
Well, what hasn't changed is just my being inspired every day as I'm out there meeting what I call everyday heroes, people who are helping kids get better education in their community, or volunteering at the local chamber, veterans who served our country and they're so humble about it. That hasn't changed, and that's what inspires me every day.
Why'd you get into politics?
I never dreamed I'd go into public service. My father was a World War II naval aviator, so he served our country. But when I graduated from A&M in 1974, Congressman Olin Teague, who was the most decorated World War II veteran to serve in Congress, asked me to go to work for him. And I was going to do it for a year. And then he encouraged me to run for office. And he was like a hero to me. And he convinced me that public service is one way to give something back to our country and a way to honor those who have served in uniform. So it's really all about making a difference.
Nice to see you again.
See you. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Chet Edwards.
Were instrumental in his he sent his letter to you.
We have a 13-year-old son and a 14-year-old son. That's the ends of my dream. He becomes an Eagle Scout. What's your son's first name? Any of the young people here, don't let anybody make you cynical about this country. We've got serious problems, and we've got to deal with them. And we've got an imperfect democracy with imperfect people serving in it. But when you get to spend time around the kind of people I've had a chance to be with this week, you can't help but love this country and be so grateful for the values and the kind of character that American families have. And sometimes we lose sight of that when we're in a difficult economic time or facing some challenges. But this has been one of the greatest weeks of my life, to be able to be with these people and to once again be reminded what you and I already know, and that is we're the greatest country in the world. We have some of the finest people who have sacrificed so much for our country.
What's going on in Washington? We need some people up there that are conservative in the district and also conservative in Washington. I believe that he will vote for the will of this district when he's our congressman.
If you go back to the employment levels that we had back in January of 2007 when the Democrats took control of Congress, we have 7 million fewer people working in America today than we did then. Almost 1 out of every 6 Americans is out of work, and that is not working. We've got Obamacare that's got people scared to hire people. Just last week I had a meeting with a small businessman here in Waco, Texas, who has 21 people in a software company, and he showed me his premium increase that showed a 30.5% increase in his health care premiums for 21 employees. It's going to cost him $30,000, and he's wondering where he's going to get that. And that's what you see happening coming out of Congress today, and that's what we've got to stop.
Governor Perry is saying that Texas has gained jobs. You're saying that we've lost jobs.
Well, you got to remember, Texas is more than the 12 counties in this district. Every county in this district has lost jobs. And so I care about Texas as a whole, but I care in particular about District 17. And when all 12 counties have lost jobs, that's a bad thing. And also the numbers that came out yesterday or the day before yesterday said Texas had actually lost 34,000 jobs in the last month. So Texas is relatively insulated from what's happening nationwide, but it's not immune.
How are you, sweetie?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
You, buddy.
Congratulations, that was wonderful.
What was?
This endorsement.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I'm very pleased.
I couldn't hear much of what you said, but I know what you're doing is right.
Okay, well, thanks. You probably heard it one time or another.
I have
before.
heard it. I've heard the stump speech.
Thank y'all.
Okay, you
Good to
bet.
see you, man.
Thanks for coming.
No, glad to be here. I couldn't be happier with how Bill has campaigned. I think he's done a great job. I think he's been on message, and I think he's been on the right message. So
That was not the wrong
I don't
answer.
know if that's the right message or not.
When you're fighting a war in Iraq and a war in Afghanistan, facing high unemployment where people are getting unemployment checks, they're not paying taxes because they don't have a job, you're going to have some deficits in the short run. I want to reduce those deficits, but if you cut $1 trillion out of the budget in 1 year, you would throw this country for sure back into another recession. what I've done on the long-term deficits is I wrote the language to make the new pay-as-you-go law to require tax cuts and entitlement spending increases to be paid for. We should have never gotten rid of that rule of the House in the 2002 time period, and I opposed getting rid of that rule. So I helped put in place the new pay-as-you-go law and made it permanent. I support the bipartisan commission to look at how we get control of entitlement spending. I voted against the health care reform bill because I didn't think at a time of huge deficits we could afford $1 trillion in new spending over the next decade.
If you go back and look at the work of Christina Romer, who was the chairwoman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, before she became part of the Obama administration, she was asked, what is the single best economic stimulus tool that the federal government has? And she said that tax cuts provide the best multiplier impact on the economy. We had a lot better tools available to us at the federal fiscal level than trying to take every bad bureaucratic idea that's set in somebody's drawer for 20 years, staple it together, stick a price tag on it, and then start throwing money out the door. I mean, we've seen waste, we've seen fraud, but we haven't seen any jobs.